That the violent winds hit their mobile farm community near Montgomery. Tens of thousands lost power in Alabama. Thousands.
Thank you for muting. We appreciate that. We hear there's some wild storms out there. One of our speakers is here without electricity. He just installed a generator, so we're excited that he did that because he's able to come to you tonight. God bless technology, right? I'm Kate Schmidt. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for Orange County, as well as a land use planner, and as well as someone who's admitting everyone. So I'm sorry if I'm pausing and awkward. I'm with the Orange County Department of Planning, and we ask you tonight to mute yourself for the sake of the dozens of folks on this call. We will open the floor to all comments and questions towards the end of our first hour at approximately 7:20. But please ask your questions as we go along via the chat box, and I will see about getting you an answer a little quicker, perhaps in between speakers. Please use the chat box to share information and your thoughts. I always like to see an exchange of ideas there. You can introduce yourself, as some folks are doing, and we all can help each other in the long run. Please remember that this session is being recorded, and it, along with the slides, will be available on the Orange County website, specifically on our sustainability page in a week or so. And that would be orangecountygov, all one word, .com/sustainability. That's orangecountygov.com/sustainability. Lastly, credits can be granted. One more time, if everyone could just mute, that would be helpful. We all have our winter coughs at this point. So lastly, credits can be granted for your attendance in this class, but it is up to your municipality if they will honor them as part of the New York State Mandatory Planning and Zoning Board official training. Poll questions will be asked periodically, so please be on the lookout and be sure to participate, as this helps verify your attendance. And with that out of the way, I'm going to first introduce our second speaker so that we can go nice and smoothly for you all. Our second speaker is Simon Slonik. He has served as the chair of the Town of Bedford Conservation Board for 25 years before becoming the president of NYSAC, which is New York State Association for Conservation Commissions. And he's been in that role since 2019. We're going to start off with our first speaker is New York State DEC's Ingrid Heckel. Ingrid is a conservation and land use specialist with the DEC's Hudson River Estuary Program. Some of you are probably very well versed with that. And through a partnership with Cornell University, Ingrid provides training and technical assistance to CACs and other municipal officials involved in local land use planning and decision-making in the 10-county Hudson Valley region. We're thrilled to have her here tonight. Please take it away, Ingrid, and watch out, everyone, for a poll question coming your way. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate, and thanks to our other partners for putting on this program, and to all of you for attending. So before I move along to my slides, just, again, this is the overview of our agenda for this evening. We'll be spending the first hour on presentations and discussion, Q&A, and then around 7:30, we'll transition over to hearing updates from Orange County volunteers about work that they're doing in your communities. So we're excited for that portion of the program in the second hour. So thanks again to all of you for attending. Before I jump into my talk, I will be saying a few words about the Hudson River Estuary Program where I work. We're a unique program at the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, established to help people enjoy, protect, and revitalize the Hudson River and its valley. And we work throughout the 10 counties bordering the tidal Hudson River, from Upper New York Harbor to the Federal Dam in Troy, and take an ecosystem-based approach to achieving many key benefits, including ensuring clean water, building community resilience to climate change, protecting the vital estuary ecosystem and its fish, wildlife, and habitats, conserving natural scenery, and providing opportunities for education, access, recreation, and inspiration on the river. And within the estuary program, our conservation land use team, which I'm a part of, works with communities to incorporate natural areas and biodiversity into land use planning and decision making. And we offer technical assistance and training and grants to CACs. So please don't hesitate to contact me with your questions. You may have worked with my colleague, Nate Nardi Cyrus, in the past, who's since moved on from our program, or with my colleague, Laura Heedy. So we've had some transition on our team, and I used to be focused more on the northern half of our estuary watershed, and I'm now working more in the mid and lower Hudson Valley region. So I am now your point person for questions relating to our team's work in Orange County. So I'm going to be providing a little background and overview about conservation advisory councils and boards. And I know some of this may be all very familiar to members who are on these councils, but we are also hoping that this event might provide some education for municipal leaders who are interested in starting new CACs. Conservation advisory councils and boards are advisory bodies established in towns, cities, and villages across New York that focus on conservation and management of the environment. Sometimes they're called environmental commissions or go by other names, but I'll be referring to them as CACs and CBs, as they're called for short. And they conduct research on local environmental issues and are involved in environmental planning, policy, and education efforts. And as you'll hopefully see tonight, it's a model that can be adapted to fit a variety of local needs. The establishment of CACs and CBs in New York has its origins in the environmental movement of the 1960s. And at that time, some local governments established CACs under their home rule authority. And then in 1970, Article 12F, sections 239 X and Y were passed in general municipal law, and those gave specific authorization for creation of CACs in cities, towns, and villages. And that same year, Article 47 of Environmental Conservation Law was passed, authorizing the establishment of county-level environmental management councils, or EMCs. Orange County doesn't happen to have an EMC, but among the original purposes of the county level EMC was to help to promote and organize CACs at the local level. Many communities have CACs and CBs that have been active since the 1970s. Others have been established more recently. They can be established by resolution or local law, and there is a sample law available based on the state enabling legislation. If you're interested in establishing a CAC, a good first step is to check whether you actually might already have one in your legislation, in your code. Sometimes they were established a long time ago and have gone inactive, but the code remains on the books. A council can consist of between 3 and 9 members, including the possibility of up to 2 junior members. Those could be high school students or college students, and I know they can be really excellent volunteers, so that's definitely something to think about. And there's no minimal, so the terms are for 2 years. There's no minimum qualifications for membership, but it can certainly be very helpful to have members that have expertise in environmental or biological sciences, engineering, law, planning, communications, a variety of fields. That said, people from all backgrounds can really make a significant contribution, and it comes down to dedication of time and willingness to learn. Article 12F lays out a statutory foundation for the work of CACs and describes specific activities that they may undertake, including conducting research into the municipal land area, including inventories of open space, wetlands, and other natural resources, developing policy and planning related to those areas, advising local agencies and coordinating with other organizations or agencies that are working on environmental matters in the community, publishing educational literature, preparing an annual report of activities, and other work that may be requested by the local legislative body consistent with these objectives. And much of the original work of CACs is as relevant today as it was 50 years ago. In addition to emerging priorities such as climate change mitigation and adaptation, the biodiversity crisis, invasive species, harmful algal blooms, stormwater management issues, and so many others, I think the beauty of the CAC model is that it can be adapted to meet the specialized needs and priorities of the moment, and that it really provides this formal structure within local government to address these issues. So I think this is more urgent than ever, and really a great encourager of communities to establish CACs. In the nearly 10 years I have worked with these different councils and boards across the Hudson Valley, I've been very impressed by the amazing work that volunteers are undertaking in these groups. And this list gives you an idea of the breadth of important work that CACs and CBs are doing, including environmental review of proposed development projects, various types of inventories and mapping work, open space planning and protection efforts, a wide range of policy research, establishing critical environmental areas, wetland and watercourse laws, climate smart and clean energy communities work, water quality monitoring, stream monitoring, trees for tribs or other restoration projects, and other urban and community forestry work, and more. This is not an exhaustive list, but we'll hear more about local projects from Orange County CACs in the second hour. Section 239 of the enabling statute also describes the process whereby a CAC can be redesignated as a conservation board following approval of an open areas inventory and map, which identifies and describes priority areas for protection in the community. And this is an example of the open areas map from the town of Blooming Grove that was completed a few years ago. Once this type of inventory and map are officially adopted by the town board, the CAC can be designated as a conservation board. They remain advisory, but are granted a more formal role in the review of proposed development projects within these mapped areas. And that means that the Conservation Board is referred projects for comment. They're still advisory in nature, but they can provide written comments and recommendations to the Planning Board for projects that are proposed in the open space areas mapped here. And it's important to note that many CACs already perform this type of function without ever becoming a board. It's not essential to become a board, but it can be helpful in formalizing that role. And currently, I think Warwick is the only town in the county that has a conservation board. Regardless of whether you're on a council or a board, developing a collaborative relationship with the planning board is key to building an advisory relationship in reviewing development proposals. CACs and CBs can help with environmental reviews by participating in site visits. They can help identify important areas of concern on the property and provide maps of resources on a site or in the surrounding area, provide written reports or memos that present objective science-based information and recommendations. It's really important to figure out your timing on this so that you provide input early on in the process in time for it to be considered and acted upon. In my last few slides, I want to share a few tips from our program and from fellow leaders of CACs and CBs. As an advisory board, it's important, or body rather, it's important to educate yourself so that you can educate others. Take advantage of opportunities to attend trainings, conferences, roundtable programs such as this to learn about the subject matter, best practices, network with other groups, know your local code and planning documents, and refer to them in your reports. Learn as much as you can about the seeker process and learn about funding opportunities and how to apply for grants to advance local projects. I can't stress it enough, but building your advisory role as a CAC or CB really comes down to building good working relationships with local decision makers. You should also seek to coordinate with other environmental organizations that may be working in your community. Seek to establish lines of communication that with your planning and zoning boards and your town board, if you're not already doing so. Send liaisons to their meetings when possible. Think about holding periodic joint workshop meetings to discuss matters of shared interest. And invite outside environmental organizations or groups working in the community to attend your meetings so that you can coordinate your efforts. CACs and CBs should also seek ways to have a presence in the community, and this can be through organizing public education or stewardship programs, partnering with the local library, maintaining current information on your website, even old-fashioned ways like putting information up on bulletin boards. Many groups now are active on social media or can provide content that could be shared through a general municipal social media account or a community newsletter if you have one. And take advantage of other events that are going on in the community to put up a table and share what you're working on. So there's a lot more advice that can be given, but I'll stop there. And there are many publications and fact sheets available on our website for CACs and CBs. So please take a look. This is our conservation planning in the Hudson River Valley website. And we have a whole page about conservation advisory councils. And this Westchester County guidance document shown on the right is also a really good one. And I'll post the links to these in the chat box when I close my presentation. And I also want to note that our Hudson River Estuary Grants program can provide funding for many of the types of projects led by CACs, such as NRIs, open space plans, conservation overlay zoning, and others. And we're anticipating a new round of funding that will be announced sometime this coming spring. So that may seem like a while off, but now is actually a really good time to get started on preparing a proposal and thinking about what you want to do. So thank you again for joining us tonight. This is my contact information, and we're going to hold questions for the end of this first set of speakers. But if you have them, go ahead and put them in the chat box, and I'm not sure if there's a Q&A function set up, Kate, but I will pass it along. I'm going to stop sharing, and our next speaker is Simon Skolnick.
Okay.
I see, I'm just gonna, while Simon's getting teed up, I'll say that I saw there's a question about the match in our grants being 15%. It has been 15% for a long time. I put a question mark about the upper end of the grant amount because it's been up to $50,000 until this past year, but I hear that it's possible there will be a higher level award for the coming grant round.
Well, I'm all set.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much, Ingrid, for an excellent presentation on what CACs do. It's my job tonight to tell you about the New York State Association of Conservation Commissions. First, a quick history. Back in the early 1970s, when CACs were forming, people at the DEC decided, well, this is really great that we have all these groups doing work in their communities, but wouldn't it be even a greater thing if we got these people talking to each other? And how do we do that? So they created the New York State Association of Conservation Commissions, which we call NYSAC, in 1972. This is our 50th anniversary. So we're very proud to still be here and very proud to still represent over 250 municipalities in New York State. That not only include CACs, but we've also recently incorporated sustainability commissions and climate control task forces. I thought what I would do, rather than give a slide presentation, I just go through a couple of items that are in our sorry about that, that are in our website, which I have on our screen, and this way you can sort of get a sense of what NYSAC covers. One of the things that NYSAC does is basically, one of our missions is to assist CACs throughout New York State. And we do that by having a conference, an annual conference, which we just had in October. We have a quarterly newsletter that we put out, and now we're actually expanding that newsletter to be almost a bi-weekly newsletter. So the purpose of all that is to share information. Okay. The other aspects of what we do is we basically have projects. Right now, we have a project in Long Island Sound in which we're helping communities there deal with sea level rise. So we're very much in tune with what's going on around the state, and we're basically here to be of help to you. One of the two things I just want to show you tonight on our website. Again, it's a very comprehensive website, and it's constantly being updated. And so the one thing I would like to show is how many, why I'm getting all these, turn that off.
And so this is the speaker that doesn't have power and is working on a generator for
Right.
anyone who didn't
Yeah,
guess yet.
Yeah, no, but we're fine that way. But we recently put up a map that shows conservation commissions and a lot more throughout New York State. And I'll just zoom in on Orange County. And then I'm going to basically open up one of the websites. But I just wanted to show you that Orange County does have 7 communities that have CACs. One has a CB, and they're located, obviously, Orange County much better than I do, but they're all located in this area. And then I wanted to just basically pull up one of the websites. And if you actually just were to go and click on any of these, this happens to be the town of Montgomery, it'll give you the website where that town is located, which I'm going to just pull up right now and show you what that looks like. And the reason why I'm doing this is to show you that, and this happens to be a very good website, and websites range really from rather minimal to rather involved, and the town of Montgomery happens to have one of the nicer websites around. And the only reason I'm really pulling up Montgomery is to take you down to the bottom, because one of the things I will be talking about is that one of the most important things that a CAC can do is outreach to the community. And I'm just happen to be showing you an award that NISAC gave the town of Montgomery back in 2012 on their rain barrel workshop, and they've used that award to publicize the work that they're doing in their community. I'll take that down. And then the other aspect of our website, which I would like to show you, give me a moment and get back to it, is something that went out of it completely, was something that we just put up this year. And what it is, it's an ordinance library. People have, I've been looking to do this for literally 30 years. I've been involved with NISAC since 1989. And this is one of the first things I really wanted to do, was figure out how do we get ordinances up from all over the region. So we went ahead and did that by, if I got the right button, is create this ordinance library here, which has something like 28 different topics. And each of these topics list the communities that have this, have an ordinance involving that topic, and how to get to it. So if, like, for example, steep slopes, I can go to the town of Kent in Putnam County, click on this, and boom, steep slope protection, stormwater management. So if you're interested in having a steep slopes ordinance in your community, here's a resource that you can go to. And we've gotten really good positive response on that. The other thing I'm going to talk about tonight, and I'm going to see if I can get that up quickly, is what was created back also in the 1970s. And this is sort of something that we always have, I don't know, joked about, because we call it the 10 Commandments for conservation commissions, but this is sort of a peek behind the curtain of really what a conservation commission needs to do. And I'll run through these real quick. Obviously, you need to know your community. So the way that you do that is you create a natural resource inventory, which is something that talks about all the different habitats, what the important aspects of your environment are, what you want to protect, what you want to set aside for your development, and it's a topic that a CAC would be doing. The second commandment is basically be comprehensive yet comprehensible. you have to base everything on science. This is not your opinion. This is not what you believe is right. This is what the evidence has come up with. So everything that you present to a board that's reviewing an application, for example, must be based on science, and it must be easily understandable. The third one is that how you seek out your members. There's nothing in any requirement that a member must be this or must be that. You can have absolutely zero involvement in the environment. What you do need to bring to the commission is a passion for the environment. And you'll learn along the way what you need to know to express that passion and interest to the other members of your community. So that's number 3. Number 4 is basically is something that Ingrid touched upon. To be a successful CAC, you've got to basically be able to form partnerships within your community. And so, having said that, you basically have to sort of sometimes let things pass if you think it's going to create a problem with the either the planning board or with the town supervisor. You may make that decision, or you may go ahead and say, no, this is very important. But keep in mind, you were there at the pleasure of your town, village, or city legislature. So you have to really sort of be aware that you are part of the government. You're not a advocacy group that's outside the government. You're part of the government. You're working with other people in the government. So that was our rule number 4. 5 is hold regular meetings. That's sort of obvious. Once a month is typical. 6 is thou shalt submit an annual report. Again, annual reports are really good because it basically lets you review the year that has occurred. You can sit down and go over it with your fellow members of your commission, and then you submit it to the town, and the town starts to understand exactly how important a conservation commission is to the workings of the town, city, or village. Number 7 is keep a high profile, and that's what I meant when I showed you that award that Montgomery got. Get out there in front of the public. Tell them who you are. Make sure they know you exist. It's not often that people come to a Conservation Advisory Council meeting, but they do come, and especially if you're talking about something that is of interest to the community. So again, high profile is a good practice to keep in the back of your mind. Number 8 is obviously don't ever let partisan politics come in and get involved. We go through different administrations. You may not agree with what one political party says, but that's not what you're there for. You're there for protecting your community's environment. When I first got on my conservation board back in 1985, there were political appointees, which was a very bad idea because they were there just to fatten up their resumes and move on. My town has stopped doing that long ago, and it's not a good practice. And if you see it happening, speak to the people that are making the decisions and say, look, this is really not for your benefit. Your benefit is to get the best people on our commission and have them help you. Number 9 is you're an advisor. You're not an advocate. So remember that. You advocate good environmental planning, but you don't advocate a specific law outside of your community, and you don't advocate, I personally think, keep out of politics. When I was chair, I did not support any candidates. But the one thing I am saying is you should advocate within your community, and you should be of the spirit of bringing up good environmental legislation, which goes back to the ordinance library. That's where you need to research it out, because if you want a tree ordinance, go to our library and you'll see dozens of tree ordinances, and each of those represents what that community wants for their residents, and each community is different. And that's one thing we've learned in NISAC, is that we can't treat every community the same way. They're all different. And last but not least is, as I said before, don't push too hard. It's better to win the war than the battle. So I could go on and on and on, and I think I probably past my allotted time, but I'm going to stay around, of course. And if you have any questions specifically about NISAC and how we can help you, I'll be here to answer that. The other mission we have is also starting up new communities with CAC. So if you're out there and you don't have a CAC, I'm here to talk to you about that. So having said that, I'm gonna, I guess, hand the screen back to, I believe it's Kate. So it's Kate, it's yours. Kate, do you hear me? Because you're muted, I guess.
Sorry about that. Yes, I'm muted. Now I have to hope everything goes well. Okay, hi again. So Kate Schmidt here again from Orange County Planning Department. I work with the CACs. We try and support them, educate them, train them, and grow them. So as you see on the slide, and as Ingrid mentioned, they go under different names, but they all basically do the same thing. This is our current batch here: Town of Montgomery, City of Newburgh, Blooming Grove, Cornwall, Goshen, Town of Wool. Yes.
You need to share your screen.
Oh, and I didn't screen it. Sorry.
That's okay.
Where are we going? See, this is the problem with my, yep, let's just do that. Share. Sorry. This is the problem of doing too much of it at one time. Is that better?
Yeah, all set.
Okay, so there's the names, and there's our towns that currently have CACs, Conservation Board, as Simon said, I believe in the town of Warwick. In fact, yes. So I'll talk about that later. The town of Highlands, they are really called an energy advisory group. And we're going to talk about that in a moment when I go one by one. You know, as Ingrid said, all of these bullets on top, you could have 3 to 9 members, and I can't emphasize enough how important the 2 junior members are. It's an opportunity to really tap the energy of the youth, but to get them at the table to make the decisions. As my older aunt told me as a child, go play in traffic. Yes, you may want to say that sometimes, but they're the ones that have the ideas, have the vision, and tomorrow is theirs. So use them. It's a great way to get into the school, to work with environmental clubs, green teams. It's really important. And colleges with research is equally important. So entertain that while you're working to develop your CAC. Ingrid brought up these other items that you can meet as often as you want. We have the main reason, the thrust of it is to look at development. When you're not doing that, the municipality gets these extra perks. They get information followed here, information source. Anything environmental sustainability, you go to these people. These are people that volunteer. They want to be there. They're fully engaged. They're interested in the topic. If they don't know it, they're going to look for it. They want to be there. They're hungry to change and help and move the needle within their municipality. They'll help the municipal officials, staff, as well as residents. They're a resource. And as both of the previous speakers talked about, was the natural resources inventory, and as a result, the community preservation plan. And this is something that Warwick has been doing for a while with their preservation plan, and starting to put that into work and save 40 million acres. This is just the cover because I absolutely love it, of the community preservation plan of the town of Blooming Grove. Gorgeous. That was taken with a regular person's camera and not photoshopped. And I would like to just say a little bit more about the preservation plans, also the town of Cornwall, and we have the chair of that CAC, Carla Castillo, here. The town of Montgomery, who is also speaking in the second half. They also prepared their NRI and their preservation plans. Other past efforts, Monroe started stream monitoring many, many years ago. I don't believe they're doing it any longer, but now the Orange County Water Authority is doing it throughout the county in different spots. Monroe also prepared and developed the town's tree management plan. And this became part of the municipality's code and addressed, among other things, the maximum percentage of trees allowed to be removed when developing a parcel. And of course, this is so important for many reasons. Any municipal official knows that when trees come down, residents start noticing, and the calls are coming into town hall as folks they want to know what's going on because they don't want to see the change in the landscape. This is something they do not like. I implore even municipalities without CACs can still improve their code and include a tree management plan. Right, so that will likely be in Simon's ordinance library if you want to check that out for Monroe or even other communities. Goshen, town of Goshen CAC participated in the DEC Trees for Trib program, which I think Ingrid did explain is a program offered by New York State DEC where it provides free trees for volunteers to plant on the banks of streams for filtration, water protection, and to avoid erosion. I remind you, you don't have to be an organized and or official CAC to take part in this wonderful program. Any group can participate. For example, the Crusade Creek Watershed Alliance is a repeat offender and we thank them for it. We have John Geberts here tonight, who spearheads that. And while we're on trees, a long time ago, the Wallkill CAC, which is now defunct, sponsored a biggest tree contest. And it may sound hokey at first, but it's absolutely brilliant. They were able to develop a tree inventory, or at least partial, on private land. They were able to get the champion trees that one would need to ask permission to go on private land to measure, get the DBH, diameter, breast height. And instead, voluntarily, people said, well, I have a big tree, and they all wrote it in. So they were able to have an organic tree inventory overnight. So now you have to know where your trees are in order to protect them. So that was a great initiative. Montgomery CAC, you name it, they did it. Already mentioned their work to educate. I believe Simon talked about their campaigns. Well, he talked about the rain barrels. Montgomery has had the Solarize campaign, the heat pump campaign. They've also prepared and completed their NRI, and they continue to designate critical environmental areas in their town and protect their Tin Brook. And they are responsible for saving Benedict Farm, which is now a beautiful park on Route 17K from a big development proposal. So it's right on the Wallkill River. I think it has kayak or a launch, kayak access, a boat launch. This is a really great amenity. And thank you, Montgomery, who is going to be talking later on. The Town of Highlands Environmental Advisory Group, not an official CAC, formed a few years ago and has not stopped. Their champion, Olga Anderson, will provide an overview in the second half of the meeting. And the town of Woodbury is working on their water overlay zoning district and initiating a composting project. The town of Warwick recently formed a climate smart community, and also will talk about that later on in the meeting. That is where I'm going to leave it. I do want to segue to our next speaker. And I noticed she did not have the resolution in her slides. And since this was already in my slides, I put it up while I introduce her. She's going to talk about climate smart communities, which is something that if you're not a CAC, you could be a climate smart community, you could be both. We just want to get some good work done. The pledge is as simple, the resolution, excuse me, is as simple as you see on the screen, and it can be modified. So take a look at that while I tell you about Eleanor Peck. She is our Clean Energy Communities Coordinator from the Hudson Valley Regional Council. She's providing technical assistance to municipalities throughout the 7-county Mid-Hudson region on the Clean Energy Community, also called CEC, and the Climate Smart Community, CSC programs. Eleanor has a sick baby at home. Your speakers are falling apart tonight, but she got the child to sleep, which is magnificent. And let's hope she is ready to go.
I am. Thank you, Kate. All right, let me share my screen. Give me one moment.
Thank you. And this is our contact information, which will be up again.
Great. So thank you so much, Kate. Thank you for having me. So as Kate mentioned, I'm Eleanor Peck, and I'm here to talk about these two state programs. They're programs municipalities can participate in related to sustainability, the Clean Energy Communities Program and the Climate Smart Communities Program. Many CACs participate in these programs on behalf of their municipalities across the state. Scroll down. Oh geez. My thing is in the way. Give me one of my button here. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to take a quick moment to talk about Hudson Valley Regional Council, the organization I work for and that I'm here representing tonight. We are one of 9 regional councils in New York State and one of over 600 nationally. We provide technical support to municipalities across the various programmatic areas listed here. So feel free to reach out to us in any of these areas. We pride ourselves in providing impartial, transparent, and informative technical support to local governments. So Climate Smart Communities, it's a program supported by 7 different state agencies, and it helps municipalities take action to fight climate change. It focuses on both reducing greenhouse gas pollution, or which we call climate mitigation, and building resiliency in the face of climate change, also called climate adaptation. There are hundreds of communities participating in this program across the state. You can see the current number right here, and many of them are in our region. These are the folks participating in Orange County. You can see that there's a number that are registered, which means they've passed that model Climate Smart resolution that Kate helpfully put up. Thank you, Kate. And that means they're committed to participating in the program. The county itself is Climate Smart Bronze certified, which means it's the first level of certification. That involves completing actions for points, meeting required criteria, and submitting documentation into the Climate Smart portal. There are 12 pledge elements in the Climate Smart program. These are actions, there are actions that communities can take that are nested within each of these pledge elements. There are more than 100 different actions that you can take that count for various levels of points within this program. You need to reach a certain number of points to get certified, and you need to submit these 2 mandatory actions. You need to create a Climate Smart task force after you pass the resolution, and you need to appoint a Climate Smart coordinator. And then there are these priority actions. So you'll need to complete a certain number of priority actions depending on the level of certification that you're aiming for. This is just a sampling of a few different priority actions, but there are many different ones you can choose from when you're in the portal and looking at that list of 100. So I did not want to put the whole list of 100 actions on here, but I did give you directions for how to see them. And if people are interested and want to learn more, we can go to this website afterwards. This shows you how to get to the list of actions. And we also, HVRC has created these videos to show you how to navigate the Climate Smart portal. And there's a link to these in the slides here on our website. So we provide basic certification assistance on the CSC program. So we'll answer questions about actions and we'll review your certification application before you submit it. We also recently received new funding from DEC, the Department of Environmental Conservation, to provide further technical assistance. So we're now able to work really in depth with communities to help them complete 4 different priority actions: greenhouse gas inventories and climate action plans for both government operations and the community overall. We're using a cohort model. It includes lots of one-on-one support, templates, and assistance with data collection. My colleague Melanie Patapis is working right now with a few Orange County municipalities, some of whom are folks on this call I've seen, and they're working on the first step, which is to do a government operations greenhouse gas inventory. This is the transition slide between the 2 programs I'm here to talk about. So the second program, Clean Energy Communities, is a very similar program, but it's from NYSERDA, the State Energy Research and Development Authority. It's a much more streamlined program. So rather than hundreds of actions, we're talking about 13, 14 larger actions, about 24 total. It's much more streamlined, and it's very focused on cost saving and energy reductions. So all communities, all actions that communities take in the CEC, the Clean Energy Communities program, are also eligible for Climate Smart program points. So this is the crosswalk. This is the action in CEC, how it translates to Climate Smart. And this is the list of all the clean energy communities actions municipalities can take. So we're talking about clean energy upgrades and PACE financing to LED streetlights and community campaigns. As you can see, they do all focus on energy usage. Some of them you'll see say up to 500 points rather than just the straight point level, and that means that there's multiple actions nested within that larger action. So here is the participation map for Clean Energy Communities program statewide. You can see there's more communities participating. This is because the program is generally a bit more accessible than climate smart communities. There's over 100 of these communities participating in our overall 7-county region. Another reason for the higher participation is that there's very simple no match grants associated with the CEC program. So communities receive a $5,000 grant after they complete their first 4 actions. And you can spend that on basically a sustainability project of your choice. They can also get larger grants. There's a $10,000 grant that small communities can get for reaching 3,000 points. And community campaigns are also eligible for grants. But these have been mostly depleted. There's still grants left for doing clean heating and cooling campaigns. The program is subject to change, so make sure you're on our mailing list so you can become aware of any changes that might occur later on. And I'll also say large communities, so over 40,000 people, which I know you have a few of in Orange County, those are eligible for larger grants that compete on a statewide level. So if they reach 3,000 points instead of 10,000, those larger communities get $30,000. And the next slide, this is a slide showing Orange County's participation in the CEC program. We've got 9 communities participating, which means they haven't gotten designated and got that 4 actions completed, and 6 communities that actually are designated and have gotten that grant. And here is the list right here. If you're not on this list, but you're interested in participating, please reach out. So we want to get you that $5,000 grant. It makes me so happy when we get communities reach that level. And communities have spent it on really fun projects. We've everything from composting projects to LED light giveaways, all sorts of different fun things. So thank you so much. I'll put my email address in the chat so you can reach out to get on our mailing list or reach out for more technical assistance if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingrid. Next, we have Commissioner Alan Sorensen from the Orange County Planning Department. I'm going to need to, Alan, did you want to share your screen?
Yes, Kate. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Can everyone see that okay?
Yes, Alan, thank you.
Okay. Kate, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I've been enjoying the presentation to this point, and there's a lot of good things happening in Orange County. So I wanted to just bring you up to speed in terms of where the planning division is with the update of the county's 2004 open space plan. So believe it or not, the county's existing open space plan is almost 2 decades old. So certainly was well overdue for an update. So I'd like to just kind of run through the steps that we've taken to date, kind of what our timeline is, and then talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that we're already thinking about in terms of measures that we can put in place to implement the recommendations for the county's open space plan. So we initiated the project of updating the county's open space plan in 2021. We did a series of online public engagements in addition to some data analysis for the plan development. We had in-person engagements with a variety of different stakeholder groups throughout Orange County and the Hudson Valley. And there will be a separate schedule in the stakeholder engagement plan reflecting the opportunities for virtual public comment outside of the public meetings, and the virtual public comments will be ongoing throughout the process of updating the county's open space plan. So we developed a vision statement, and I guess maybe I'll just read the first paragraph. It's probably hard for all of you to see, but there are 6 themes that we are focusing on in the county's open space plan. They include recreation, agriculture, the built environment, historical and cultural resources, water resources, and biodiversity and natural resources. The vision statement is the County of Orange open space system is an interconnected network of agricultural lands, natural resources, water resources, parks, preserves, and trails that enhance the quality of life in the county. Together, these open space resources represent an opportunity to create a beautiful and healthy framework for Orange County's continued growth, providing intrinsic benefits, social vitality, and economic opportunity for all who live, work, and play in our county. The anticipated deliverable for our open space plan will consist of an ArcGIS Hub website page containing the Orange County Open Space Plan story map and other embedded dynamic mapping tools. It'll also include individual technical memorandums supporting the implementation strategies for the plan, and concise connectivity plans for several pilot projects. As we've been meeting with stakeholders and collecting data, we've already identified a number of opportunities to connect open space within the county. And so we are envisioning, for example, a precise plan dealing with Sugarloaf Mountain. We also are currently working and spearheading the development of the what we're calling the Scunnamunk Rail Trail. That is a rail trail that will run from Gray Court in the town of Chester, Camp LaGuardia, up through the village of Washingtonville and just beyond the Moon of Trestle. That will be a 10-mile rail trail. We have funding committed for that initiative. We're coordinating with Open Space Institute, who has acquired the property, and we will actually be into the design phase in January, February of 2023, with the goal of being into the construction phase as early as 2024. So that is a very big initiative that's going to be moving forward. We see it as an opportunity to link multiple open space parks and open spaces throughout the county, with the goal of ultimately creating a linear park and bikeway system that will traverse the county, allowing someone from as far away as Unionville to take this system of linear parks and reach the Newburgh waterfront. So it's an ambitious goal, but one that we are steadfastly working to secure those rights of ways and put in place programs to develop that system. Okay. Just bear with me. I'm trying to get that slide to, let's see. Can you hear me okay? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Let me, for some reason, my slide is not responding. Oh, there we go. All right. I think it just froze up for me for a moment.
So it's still frozen?
Yeah. Oh.
You have to go in the other direction, right? Well, in the interest of time, are you able, I mean, the slides are really great. While I'm looking for it, would you just continue giving us an overview? We have just 2 or 3 more minutes before we need to start our next hour.
Okay.
So if you just want to wrap it up, I'll see about what I can get, and we could run through those slides while you're talking.
what I would ask is simply, I would direct people to the Orange County Department of Planning webpage. There you'll find links to the ARC-Hub. On the ARC-Hub, you'll see a lot of these slides that I had hoped to go through this evening. There are surveys on there, so feel free to complete those surveys if you haven't already, to share that information.
Alan, do you want to just stop? Do you want to just stop sharing and I could try and pull this up?
Yes, yeah, let's do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, please continue.
So I think I went over the themes. So just bear with me one moment. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. So we've gone.
You talked about the topics.
Number 2. We have a, we've gone through, at the beginning of the process, we defined stakeholders. We've completed the stakeholder interviews. Those are completed. And we're continuing to coordinate with the interested agencies. We had over 20 stakeholder interview that we've completed to date. There are a whole, oh, you have it there, Kate. Okay. So yeah, our themes are accessibility, climate change, connectivity, economic opportunity, equity, preservation and protection, quality of life, smart growth, and stewardship. The public meetings are kind of outlined there. Kate, you can go through, yeah. So the stakeholders, we had a project advisory committee. I've just gone through that. Okay, partner interviews and interested agencies. You can go through that one. I think I just went through that.
Lots of words.
So yeah, the word map there is quite interesting, and that's based on survey feedback. So these are some of the key words that came up through the surveys: protection, clean water, conservation, recreation, agriculture. So those are themes, that come up.
The size of the word is correlated to how many people thought it was important. It's usually done by a poll. And so therefore, the more people were interested in protection than they were in options, motorized and beauty on the upper right side. Yeah.
And there's some overlap there with some of the words. So some of the major takeaways, I think, well, we just spoke a little bit about those, that regional planning is necessary to address intermunicipal and regional issues, the need to address social justice and equity. We actually think the development of the bikeway linear park system can go a long way to that. The county is now pursuing the development of Camp LaGuardia as a new county park. That will be linked by the Heritage Trail as well as the Scunnamunk Trail. So a person who may not have access to an automobile will be able to take a bicycle and to ride or walk to these facilities. And there's multiple other parks that will be linked to the Scunnamunk Trail system, including Scunnamunk State Park. Ultimately, the goal is to link the Scunnamunk Trail to the Storm King Arts Center as well. And there are rights of way that can afford that opportunity. So we're pursuing all of that. Again, we want to not only preserve open space, but we want to make it accessible to people of all income means throughout the county. And I think this framework of developing a linear park bikeway system, I think, can go a long way. In the essence of time, I realize that there's a lot of information here. We have developed maps. We have a protected open space, parks and recreation trails, regional trail network, agricultural resources. The built environment, I'll speak about that a little bit. We did not want to ignore in this open space plan the need to address the greening, if you will, or trees, within our urban environments. The heat island effect is very real. in the city of Newburgh and Port Jervis, as well as city of Middletown. So that is something that we will also be focusing on in the development of the open space plan, as well as ensuring that those cities are connected via this regional trail linear park system, so that the residents of those communities can have meaningful access to enjoy those resources.
I think we talked about that.
I think we've talked about this. And I just, in essence of time, I just would encourage you, if you have time, to visit our ArcHub site. It will continue to grow as we advance in the development of the open space plan. We wanted to develop something that was going to be accessible, dynamic, and something that we could use as a foundation to enhance our open space system in Orange County. We're already thinking of a variety of different tools to implement the recommendations of the that will be coming out of the open space plan. And I think by starting the process with input from so many stakeholders, I think we're well on our way to developing a open space plan that will serve the county for the next 20 years.
Great. Thank you, Alan. Now, we have
You're
a question
welcome.
about where to find more details on the bikeway and trail project. Would you mind putting that in the chat?
Well, currently we're in the infancy of developing it. In the coming months, we'll have more information available on the Scudamock Bikeway. We've secured the funding. We have the next steps in the process will be to actually acquire the lands from Open Space Institute. That's going to take us several months. But then when we get into the design phase, we will add information to the ArcHub site to provide additional information to the public. We're just not there yet. We still have to select the consultant team. And we still need, our first step is to actually acquire the property. It has been acquired by Open Space Institute. So it's a real project and we'll be moving forward. And, once we get into the design phase, then we can better inform everyone about the next steps.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay. So we're not seeing too many questions in the chat. If they're so complicated you can't type them, maybe put up your hand or tell me that in the chat. The one question I would like to ask, some idea I've had for a while, and I know it's limitations, but I'm wondering if somehow we could work around it. If you looked at Simon's map from the New York State Association of Conservation Commissions website, you'll see that a lot of the conservation advisory councils are downstate or in populous areas. So there's a whole host of smaller towns and villages that do not have this. And therefore, they don't have the population to really field a team, if you will, right? They can't get the volunteers to come out and do this. We have that in Orange County. Our west side of Orange County has a few towns that don't have large populations and certainly not dense cities. And I'm wondering, how can we help them? So an idea that I've come up with is, how do they have one CAC for a few towns? Is that possible? Again, as we discussed tonight, their main purpose is to look at each town or village's development proposal. So how do you bring in someone from another town to look at your towns? I'm wondering if it's something that should be addressed and researched, because we're not the only county that could benefit from something like this. How can we have an intermunicipal agreement that would allow them to work together? Maybe one person from each town, in our case, from Minnesota, from Deer Park, from Mount Hope, etc. This is something that helps all and can lift all boats. Can anyone speak to that?
I can to a certain, this is Simon. There isn't anybody doing that, by the way. No,
No.
the idea is a great idea, but it's not happening. There is a group up in, upstate New York to the, east of Lake Ontario called the Tug Hill Commission, which was appointed by the state legislature. And that's a community of maybe four parts of four counties, multiple communities. There's only two, by the way, CACs in all of this area. But what they do is they have what they call circuit riders that go from community to community, going to different like planning board meetings and reporting back to the main office what's going on. So, I mean, that could possibly be an answer to what your question is. How do you get people from different communities sitting in on planning board meetings? Is just have one person whose responsibility is to just move around and report back. It's a good question, but my other answer, by the way, is success breeds success. And if you are a organization that's doing well, you'll draw out, even from a small community, those people who are have that passion about maintaining their environment. They will surface if you are a successful group. So that's probably the best solution. But as I said, this doesn't exist. No other communities are in New York State have this kind of role. So it's something worth exploring.
Okay, thank you. We have a question. Again, I remind folks, please put them in the chat or put a hand up. The lot of links are in the chat, and the copies of the presentation will be available at our website, orangecountygov.com/sustainability. And Michelle Lindsay, Deputy Supervisor from the town of Tuxedo, is asking, how are the stakeholders chosen, Alan, for development of the open space plan? What groups and municipalities are represented, and can other municipalities be added?
The short answer is other municipalities could be added. With respect to the stakeholder groups that we interviewed, I'll just give you some of the groups. So just bear with me 1 second. Where'd that go?
Okay, while he's doing that, we'll just remind folks to please complete the poll that is there. And if last minute for questions, and then we'll move on to the next segue. Go ahead,
So
Alan.
The defined stakeholders, obviously we had Orange County planning staff, the County Land Trust, Palisades Interstate Parks Commission, Orange County Planning Board, Open Space Institute, Scenic Hudson, the Nature Conservancy, the Trust for Public Land, Hudson Highlands Land Trust, Orange County Soil and Water Conservation District, Cornell Cooperative Extension, Hudson River Valley Greenway, the Upper Delaware Council, Ag and Farmland Protection Board, Riverkeeper, Palisades Interstate Parks Commission, Greater Newburgh Parks Conservancy, Quassia Creek Watershed Alliance, Moodna Creek Watershed Intermunicipal Council, Orange County Tourism and Economic Development, New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, Wallkill River Watershed Alliance, Vision Hudson Valley Pathways Committee, Orange County Water Authority, and interested agencies included County Exec's Office, the Legislature, Agricultural and Community Development Services, American Farmland Trust, New York State Ag and Markets, New York State DEC, New York State Natural Heritage Program, et cetera. So we actually conducted one-on-one interviews with these stakeholders. So, you know, early on in the process, we wanted to make sure that we reached out to as many interested stakeholders as possible throughout the county and the region.
Fantastic, thank you. All right, so seeing no other questions, we will be moving to our roundtable where our CAC members will be reporting. You're welcome to listen and learn about the good work that they've been doing. We're, you know, loosely organized here. So how would we like to start if anyone has to leave? I know that we have the town of Newburgh, excuse me, the city of Newburgh, the town of Highlands. We have the Village of Warwick here. We have quite a few members that would like to speak. Anyone else who would like to add something, please feel free. So if I could just pick someone going down in no particular order, the Village of Woodbury, Mayor Andrew, would you like to speak? Are you there I'm just going down my list here. Would you like to give a report on your water overlay and what you're doing? And if not, Lisa, I know I saw your name.
I know Lisa's on here. I had to unmute.
Great, thank
So,
you. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you. So as we spoke about 2 years ago, or approximately 2 years ago, we passed what we feel is a very aggressive water protection overlay in the Village of Woodbury. We're very proud of it because we had worked on it for many years and then it stalled. I think we were worried about impending litigation, if that would arise from this. So roughly it lingered, it sat in committee, I guess is the best way to put it. And then last year we brought it back up again and we were able to pass it with flying colors. So it exists here in the Village of Woodbury. It's one way we're looking to protect our waterways from development and pollution and whatnot. So it is something we're very proud of. And it is something if any municipality is interested in, you can find it on our website or if you'd like, I can send it to you because members of the Moodna Creek Water Council, I have sent it to several of their members already. So I don't know if Lisa, if you have anything else you want to add?
Sure. I know, we've been very active working with Eleanor. We've gained a couple of points as a clean energy community. We're working to get a couple more as far as we're hoping to get our solar, trying to get the exact terminology, the solar permit, the unified solar permit.
Mhm.
Yes, but we've earned some points for sending our coding enforcer to training. We've converted all of our LED lights, our Cobra heads, are LED. So we benchmarked those. So we're working very close with Kate. She's helping us immensely, and Eleanor. And so good things. We're going to work with our library to promote an Earth Day through Arbor Day educational unit for our residents. We're reaching out to the high school for students that may be interested in helping us do some benchmarking and some legwork. And I know we're very interested in, and I liked whoever commented on who's got the biggest tree to instantaneously just about get all of your trees benchmarked. So I love that idea. I think we'll definitely look into that. So Woodbury's getting there.
That's right. And
A lot of
again,
good
they're
work.
coming along quickly with their climate smart community. It's
Right.
very exciting.
Thank you for tonight.
Okay, Carla, would you like to speak? And if anyone does want to share anything they're doing that would be of interest and benefit to everyone, please just put it in the chat and I'll get you on a list here. Carla Castillo from Cornwall,
Hello.
chairperson. Thank you.
Hi, everybody, and hi to all the folks that I know on this call. It's nice to see people. So we've, let's see, over the past few years, we've completed an NRI in partnership with the town of Blooming Grove, scenic resources inventory, and an open space inventory. And those were all adopted by the town at the end of last year. We still have not taken the measure of trying, or the next step of trying to become a conservation board, because we're not exactly sure whether there is the political will to do that yet. But we continue to try to build foster the relationships that we have. I think we've managed to, I really appreciate everything that Simon said in terms of, walking that fine line, keeping nose out of politics. And we've done that to the best of our ability, or at least, we've kept ourselves out of politics. So, but sometimes we get pulled into politics. But anyway, right now we're in the midst of, for about a year now, it's taken us to complete a tree ordinance. It's in the final draft phase. It's getting reviewed by the town planning consultant. They're reconciling the tree ordinance with our clearing and grading code. And then it's going to go to, we developed a whole process, then it's going to go to the town and village planning boards, because we've been working, we now have a village liaison, which is really exciting, on the Cornwall CAC in addition to the town liaison. And so then it's going to get reviewed by the planning boards, and then final review by legal counsel, and also the town board before it gets presented. We're going to do a public information session, and then it'll get hopefully do a public hearing so that it becomes adopted. And we did use the town of Monroe ordinance quite heavily, relied on it quite heavily. So I'm very interested to hear from Dennis as to why the town is now looking at updating its tree code. I imagine that there were things that they found that weren't exactly what they wanted them to be. So looking forward to learning about that. We did our first cleanup around Rings Pond, which is experiencing, it's a pretty little pond in the town, which is experiencing eutrophication. And in the past, we had not been permitted to go in and clean up remove the filamentous algae that really just completely chokes the pond and is an eyesore, makes people really unhappy to see that in the warm seasons. And but we were allowed to go in. I got in a kayak, removed that. We had a bunch of people skimming it off the edges of the pond, and we're going to be doing an additional study to find out what is causing the eutrophication, and then present recommendations. We had 40 people show up for that in the past during our annual cleanups of the riverfront. We've gotten just shy of 100 folks for the Riverkeeper cleanup. So that's really exciting. And I guess, we've turned we used to do many more events. COVID kind of shut that down a little bit, and we're starting to get back into the flow, but we've kind of shifted with all these planning documents that we've done, now we're shifting our view to working on ordinances. We'll see how this first tree ordinance goes. And I think, I'm sure I've forgotten a ton, but that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Fantastic work. Patricia Hennigan from the town of Montgomery. Are you ready to go? Okay.
Hello,
Patricia,
I'm here.
there you go. All right, Patricia, and then next
Forgot
on
to
doc.
unmute.
Great, thank you. I'll just get the next folks ready. We're going to go with Michelle Lindsay from the town of Tuxedo shortly. Please go
Okay,
ahead, Patricia.
I'd like to share our saga of getting the town of Montgomery to invest in aquifer protection. We applied for the free workshop offered by Hudsonian, the Hudson River Estuary Program, on how to propose a critical environmental area, or CEA. In 2021, we were one of 3 towns accepted for this training. We decided to focus on aquifer protection as we felt it would be a common concern across political lines. It involved 6 months of workshops led by Gretchen Stevens to develop a proposal for a CEA in the town. 4 CAC members, the town historian, and a town board councilwoman participated. Our group decided to focus on the protection of the Tin Brook and the Beaver Dam Brook watersheds, as they contain the town wellheads. Our group presented our CEA to the town in November 2021. Then on April 7th, the public hearing was held. We had 8 residents or groups come and speak in support of it. Later, the supervisor told me that he said it would not be accepted because they were concerned about lawsuits. He said they wanted to consider possibly a local law instead. I sent him information on model ordinances on aquifer overlay zones that was given to me by Russell Urban Mead, a planner. However, did not get any response to this. And then on November 3rd, the town announced a public hearing for a wellhead protection plan. 3 of us commented on this as it was extremely weak and barely went beyond what the Department of Health already does. Now the town is changing supervisors, and we will continue to look for opportunities to involve the town in aquifer protection. That's our saga.
That's great. I mean, not great, but I appreciate the work that you're doing. Thank you. Now, aside from that saga, is there anything else small, or is that consuming all your time? I think I handled a lot of your past projects earlier.
Right. We are the things we usually do. We do a tree maintenance every year. One exciting thing that happened is that the Valley Central High School had a volunteer day that invited local groups to come and present to the students. We participated in that and got over 20 students who signed up, who were interested in volunteering in different activities. And we actually had 6 of them come to the tree maintenance, which was really nice. So that was a bright light on the horizon.
Yeah, there's that continuity again. Tap the youth and get the continuity. Excellent. Thank you, Patricia. Michelle Lindsay, and then after her, we're going to have Olga Anderson from the town of Highlands. Michelle, are you ready to report?
Yeah, hi, everyone. This is a great event, all getting together, so very helpful. I've learned a lot. So the town of Tuxedo and the village of Tuxedo Park formed a joint climate smart community task force. And we are pursuing climate smart community points as well as clean energy. And Kate and Carla and Eleanor have been extremely helpful in our endeavors. Some of the things that we have completed or are in the process of working on. First, we had a composting recycling program. We completed the energy code training and LED streetlight conversion. We're in the process in the town of a greenhouse gas inventory, and Melanie has been very helpful with that. The village of Tuxedo Park has actually completed their greenhouse gas inventory for the municipality, and now they're working on the community inventory, which is a huge task. In the town, we are in the process of getting an energy audit of our buildings over 1,000 square feet. And we also appointed in both the town and the village, Jewel Energy as our administrator for community choice aggregation of electricity purchasing. We're in the public outreach and education phase of that right now with a target implementation in the springtime. And interesting about the CAC, it had been established years ago and was even included in our comprehensive plan. So I'm going to try and get that going. But I think that it should be separate from the Climate Smart Community Task Force. So just sort of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Olga Anderson from the town of Highlands. Are you ready? And then Tom McKnight from the village of Warwick, if you can report on your climate smart communities activities.
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, our group is really called the Citizens Environmental Advisory Committee. We're not a CAC per se, but I think we're kind of in line with the objectives that you folks have been talking about. So the one thing that I want to start with is what Kate was saying about engaging with the young folks. One of our members of our committee was a high schooler, and she graduated and she's now in college, and she was actually our clean energy intern. So NYSERDA has this clean energy intern program, and we were able to write a proposal to the town, and they approved it. NYSERDA paid 90% of her of the little bit of money that she did make, and we got a 10% funding from a private source. So that worked out incredibly well for her. She learned a lot. And as a result of one of the results of her work was that the town completed enough actions that they are now qualified for that $5,000 designation grant. So that's really a great testament to the value of really focused work like that. And I am in the process of trying to engage the mayor of Highland Falls to take her on as well, because they have their own clean energy program with the village. I'm interested, Michelle, in how you were able to do a joint thing. So I might be in touch with you about getting some tips on making that happen. So, you know, that clean energy internship, I think, was very productive for everyone, and got some excellent results. We also had some great luck working with the West Point cadets. In the past couple of years, we had cadets that did sort of benchmarking, greenhouse gas type benchmarking for the benchmarking action in Clean Energy Communities program. And so that laid the foundation for us to participate in the greenhouse gas inventory that Michelle is helping us with. So we're part of that cohort, and we've got like 99% of that work done because of the engagement we had with the West Point cadets. And I just have a couple of last pieces that I have to plug in to the tool. So working with the young folks has been very, very rewarding for us. One more thing that we did with a West Point cadet, as one of her projects, she developed a how to live a green lifestyle in the town of Highlands brochure and website, where she published really easily attainable actions for local residents to start to implement in their homes. So, you know, we really need to, I mean, I see our mission really being a lot of just educating people in the community about what's going on around them in the environmental space. So those have been extremely helpful. I think our biggest accomplishment has been we actually have kicked off a CCA. We did recently have both the town and the village boards approve a bid for a renewable energy utility. So we've got the bids. We're ready to just do the last 60 days of public information, and then we're ready to flip the switch. So, you know, the first bids that we got were unacceptable, but the second round were acceptable to our both boards. So I'm really happy that we're finally coming to the end of really a 2-year-long process for our committee to engage people and show them the value of doing this. So I think the one other last thing that I'd like to mention is we really coordinated and facilitated a conversation between the town board and some vendors or companies that install electric vehicle charging stations. These companies cold called the town boards, and anything that has to do with energy or sustainability, they always send those emails forward to me. So I jumped on that and got some conference calls going, some analysis going, and they did sign a contract with Green Spot, who's going to come in and install 2 electric vehicle charging stations at no cost in the hamlet of Fort Montgomery. So that we're expecting to break ground on that any day now. So those are pretty much it. And I think for the next year, I think we're going to look at focusing on getting some kind of a zero waste program kicked off here.
Did you even mention your compost sale? Did you do that in the beginning?
Yeah, we've done some, some compost sales with cooperation with Ermin at Orange County, and using some of those compost bins. We've created a little compost farm in our community garden, and we get food scraps from a local restaurant. And I'd love to expand that program, but so far I'm the chief composter in chief, so I need to get some other folks interested in messing around with decaying food. But yeah, we've got a small program going, and as soon as I can muscle up some volunteers, we do want to expand that.
So like so many volunteers, you're a one-woman composter, right? You're doing it all, the transporting, et cetera. They did sell compost containers, and that if anyone's interested in doing that, the county recycling coordinator, Ermin Sikovic, is always there to coordinate. He's able to acquire compost bins at cost that we can sell online twice a year, maybe, for pickup at convenient sites. We do have someone from Greenwood Lake, John Tracy, who is on the Village of Greenwood Lake Planning Board. I don't know if you are involved, but the 2 of our markets now, the town, we'll just say the Village of Warwick and the Village of Greenwood Lake, are accepting since September, and now they've closed. They're accepting food scraps voluntarily dropped off at their markets. And talk about one-person shows. Chad Pilmary in Greenwood Lake is doing it all, collecting it and bringing it to his community garden, turning it and just using it there. Fantastic operation. The Village of Warwick is much larger, and they have been working with a local farmer and bringing it to the farm. It's growing. The businesses are coming over with buckets of food scraps. So we're trying to get something indoors. If anyone knows any private entities that would like to purchase a bear-proof container, which is knocking on about $1,000, a little bit more with shipping, but they could put their name on it and donate it to some urban areas near restaurants, and we can try and keep it going all winter long. If anyone knows any farms or people with chickens that would like to be the recipient of compost, or goats or pigs or whatever, what have you, let me know, and we can work with the Orange County Climate Smart Community Materials Management Task Force, and we could further this. Just taking a moment while Chuck and Ronald and Ryan and Tom McKnight and maybe Dennis from Monroe get ready to talk. The Orange County Climate Smart Community has task force that meet monthly online virtually, and that was part of our question in our poll. If you would like to get involved with that, whether you're in a CAC, a climate smart community, or any group, or just a person who just wants to listen in or learn from and see what we can do together, please contact me. My email is on the screen. And then if you do want some help forming your CAC, we're there to help you with that. And if you are a CAC member, we like to get specifically CAC members together so that they can really talk to each other. We're thinking about doing something quarterly, maybe every other month. And that way you really can learn from each other and move forward and perhaps collaborate like we've seen today. So grants are coming up like Ingrid told us. I believe the towns of Blooming Grove as well as Cornwall work together to get their NRI done with the Hudson Valley Estuary money and through our department with mapping. So those are much bigger projects, but they need time, they need organized structure, and the outcome is big. And we're there to help you. So please let me know, take my email down, my phone number, and give me a call. Tom McKnight from the Village of Warwick, who just started a climate smart community. Are you ready to report on what you guys are tackling?
Ready to rock and roll. Hey, Kate,
Thank you,
everyone. This is great. It's great to hear from everyone else. So I'm Tom McKnight. I'm on the village board here, and we're a village of about 7,000 people within the town of Warwick. And for, I've been on this board since April. Before that, I was on the planning board. And one thing I thought was super interesting to me is we haven't had a comprehensive plan update in about 20 years. So about a year and a half ago, we started a comprehensive plan refresh. And in that, we did some community engagement. We sent out a survey, and 80% of the residents who responded agreed that having some more sustainability elements within the village was of the utmost importance. And I don't think 80% of people agree on anything. So I thought that was very telling. So what we've done here in the village is that we are designated CEC, hit that first level. And in September, we just stood up this CSC task force, of which I'm the coordinator. So I want to say thank you, Kate, for your partnership, as well as Eleanor at the HBRC. It's been great. And I'm happy to say that we now have 182 out of the 120 points required to reach that first bronze certification level. So it's pretty exciting. Some of the work has already been done ahead of time. A lot of work went into documenting this stuff, and we took on some additional projects. So some of the things that we've done, by the way, I understand that early January is the deadline to submit. So I'm ready to submit today, but we got a couple of weeks to see how many more actions we can get in. But yesterday, I just finished the greenhouse gas inventory for government operations. We've done the energy benchmarking, electric and natural gas here. We've got a fleet inventory, several electrical vehicle charging stations. A few years back, we started our street light conversion to LED. We are now over 50%. And what's interesting is, as you all know, maybe not everyone's bought into climate change, right? But they certainly understand cost savings, right? So that's been one thing that we've had to lead with here, to say, yes, this will pay for itself in several years. We're on a path to buy all of these street lights from Orange and Rockland and convert them at the same time to LED. So it's a big program for us. I'm excited about it. A couple of things, we've got a residential organic waste program where we basically have a brush pile at the DPW, and people love this. Seasonally, they will bring their brush from their yard over, and a couple times a year, we'll have a material processor come through and we'll convert that into mulch, which residents can then pick up freely again. So it's a great program. We've paid attention to our codes. We've got a tree ordinance. We have a tree inventory. We've tried to streamline the solar permit process with a unified solar permit. And we are about to submit our comprehensive plan with all the sustainability elements in the CSC. So that's exciting. It's been great here to partner with a local nonprofit called Sustainable Warwick, who really helped with some of that public engagement and things such as the creek cleanup at the Wayanda Creek. And even things such as, our farmers market. And Kate, as you mentioned, really the food scrap collection, right, which is turned into compost. I think everyone I've talked to is very excited about that. So I love seeing that at the farmers market. And lastly, I'll just say we're looking to some of the bigger items. I know Michelle mentioned this earlier, like community choice aggregation. We also had a presentation from Jules. So we're trying to figure this out with CCA, because I think everyone understands that, yes, it would be great to get off of the fossil fuels, but even though we can predict based on past that people may save a little bit in their energy bills, we can't guarantee it. So there is some public engagement to be had there. But we're looking into that, things such as the New York Stretch Energy Code and a couple of other elements. But I fully expect in the next few weeks, we'll submit for our CSC bronze certification. And then it's on to the silver certification if we can get there. That's it for me.
Tom, thank you. And, you know, with CCA, for folks that aren't familiar with community choice aggregation, we have presented this numerous times. Please go visit orangecountygov.com/sustainability. It's all the information's there on CCA. I think someone else brought up the New York Stretch, everything, this New York Stretch Energy Code, everything is there. And if not, email one of us. Yeah, I like to say with CCA, at least we've watched the market go up and down so much over the last few years now with the pandemic, and it's you just don't understand it. But now I think we all agree everything is increasing in price. So you know, electricity is going up, and you could just hope if you do CCA green as opposed to brown power, I'd like to think that at least you're not paying more and you're getting green. So hopefully, fingers
Kate,
crossed. Yes.
Yes, Kate, on that, just one thing that strikes me. So it's basically an opt-out program. So we will automatically opt everyone in. What just concerns me is that we have the best intentions, right? But we will opt people in. And if their bill goes up even a little bit, we'll have some very upset taxpayers, right? So that's something that we do have to think through.
Yes, yes, you do. And I wanted to bring up Olga's Green Living. Want to remind that everyone that most of these actions that everyone's reporting on are potential climate smart community point worthy. And the Green Living report, Olga, if you want to share that with me, I'm wondering if you'd like to share it with the other communities to see if they can steal from it and, you know, maybe make some of it their own and adopt it. Certainly Orange County can look into doing that and also post it on our website. So, you know, this is what you want to do. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. You just want to borrow, apply it to your community, and then go forth and hopefully collect climate smart community points. All right, Tom, thank you. Ryan from Blooming Grove, are you ready to speak? And then Chuck and Ronald from the city of Newburgh next.
Yep, I'm all set.
Great, thanks Ryan for joining.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Kitzrow. I'm the chair of the Blooming Grove CAC. So over the past 9 to 12 months, the Blooming Grove CAC has been engaged in a lot of activities of really refocusing our work coming out of the NRI work, which was done a year and a couple of years prior. So number one item that we've been focusing on is we've been using the NRI work that previously was done, as well as the recent comprehensive plan update that we had. And we've been using that as inputs to review our town code and identifying areas of policy improvement that could be made based off of those inputs. Next, we've been building a cadence with our local conservation organizations. So that includes Orange County Land Trust, that includes the Open Space Institute, to ensure that we have open line of communication to those organizations and we can collaborate as needed with them. Thirdly, we've been working to update our inventory of open space. We've been planning on how to engage with our local community on CAC issues. And then, of course, we've been monitoring and participating with our local planning board and zoning boards, making sure that they are aware that we are available for advisory services for any notable projects that may come up over the course of the next year.
Fantastic. Thank you. Ellie Hart, who's on here, worked a lot on your NRI and your preservation plan. She also is a volunteer board member, I believe, at the Orange County Land Trust, and she sits on the Orange County Planning Board, I believe. Ellie, if you're still with us, if you want to add to Ryan, please let me know.
I'm here.
Yes,
I'm here, Kate. Thanks.
great, Ellie, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ellie Hart. I am the chair of the Blooming Grove Community Preservation Committee. I'm a former member of the Blooming Grove CAC. Ryan, I'm so happy that you have taken over the reins of that organization. I was very excited about that. Our committee kind of grew out of the CAC, as was mentioned, through a Hudson River Estuary program grant. The town of Blooming Grove worked with Cornwall. Carla, nice to see you. And Blooming Grove continued on to create a community preservation plan, and that's what our group was formed in 2019, and we worked feverishly and wholeheartedly with our town planner. There's a group, our appointed committee is 5 of us in the town of Blooming Grove. And I think most of you know that we worked very hard to have state legislation passed for Blooming Grove to explore the possibility of creating a community preservation fund. I think some of the 10 commandments that were talked about here for the CACs, we worked in very much in a bipartisan manner. We have a Republican assemblyman and a Democratic senator. And so we were very proud of the work that we did to, in a bipartisan fashion, get our local law passed through both the Senate and the Assembly. Ultimately was vetoed by the governor. But our preservation plan is adopted as a part of the town of Blooming Grove comprehensive plan. One area that our community strongly identified and is its own priority area in our plan is the Erie Corridor Rail Trail, now known as the Scunnamunk Trail. We couldn't be more thrilled at the work that the county and Open Space Institute have done to make that trail a reality. I'm very much looking forward to having that. I think it's a great asset for Blooming Grove and Washingtonville. So our committee, after our long journey of trying to have legislation passed, took a little bit of a break, but we are back together. I am a former member of the Orange County Land Trust, still in close association with some of the members there. I do sit on the Orange County Planning Board, along with my work in Blooming Grove. And so we are back together. We're looking at other ways in our plan, other areas, other ways of, protecting our open space, and our natural resources are identified. And so we're kind of, regrouping, reassessing, and looking at other ways that we can move ahead to get some of these priority projects done in our plan. And that's it. We're back at it. I had a phone call with Ingrid that sort of was very helpful and kind of stemmed us to get going back again. So thank you all. I'm really happy to hear what's going on in the other towns. It's inspiring. And yeah, we've got a good crew going here in Blooming Grove between Ryan and our preservation committee. So yeah, that's it.
Great. Thank you both, and glad to have you on board, Ryan. So Chuck and Ronald, are you ready?
Thank you. Yes, I am. Ronald, you here?
City of Newburgh in the
City
house.
of Newburgh, CAC, and we are a Conservation Advisory Council, not a commission. And I'll explain that real briefly. In fact, I'm going to try to briefly do a lot of things. We were formed back in 2013 as part of a merger to streamline the processing of planning and permitting in the city of Newburgh. We were formed from the Waterfront Advisory Commission, of which I was the chair at that point, and the Shade Tree Commission, of which Kippy Boyle was the chair at that point. And they merged our two commissions into a Conservation Advisory Council so that applicants would only have to go to one more commission meeting, besides planning and ARC and all the other places they had to go. So that was where we started. That's how we became a CAC. And we're trying to work our way through lots of things to get us to the point of saying we would like to be considered as a commission. So we're working on that. And I've made some real quick notes here, so I'm going to just kind of go through them pretty quickly, if you don't mind. Our CAC includes the Hudson River and Passaic Creek watersheds, and the other waters in the towns of Newburgh and the town of New Windsor, where our water source locations are, our surface lakes. And that's Brown's Pond primarily, Silver Stream Reservoir, and Washington Lake. And as you know, Washington Lake's been contaminated with PFOSs. And so we are working closely. Several of us sit on the Restoration Advisory Board for the Stewart Air National Guard. And we're working closely with them to clean our water and work toward a real reuse of Washington Lake water. We had a dynamic and viable water supply system by 1880. And it was a wonderful system. It predates the city system by nearly 50 years. And it has been essentially ruined by PFOSs right now. So we're working on that. Wow. Okay, so that's that. We've been mapping out the watersheds, and thanks much to the Passaic Creek Watershed Association and their former members and current members in terms of the mapping the watersheds, which start way up in Plattekill in Ulster County and came down to form our watershed here. We've been fortunate to have received, which Kippy Boyle wrote, a grant in 2020 that's called Maintenance Matters. Maintenance Matters. And we didn't know we were getting the grant until last year because COVID shut everything down. So we scrambled and tried to match the needs of the grant. And we were able to take down Maintenance Matters is a big part. We're not always planting trees. In this case, we had to take down 28 trees. There were high priority city trees that were dangerous, just really, really hazardous trees that needed to be looked at. And that was almost $53,000 to take down 28 trees. With the grant from state DEC, which was a wonderful grant to have, was for $40,000. We put in the extra money ourselves and part of our match. And we also were able to create 9 tree pits on Broadway in Newburgh. And then I say, it doesn't sound big, but 9 tree pits, they have to be 5 foot by 9 feet. And we had to take up sidewalks to do it. So we were very happy to have the state support and the input from the state urban forester, George Profis, to get those 9 pits dug. And we're going to plant trees. We're already planting trees in there in the spring. Let's see here. Carla, thank you so much for posting your draft tree ordinance information. We have also drafted a tree ordinance and a tree planting permit. Our city code refers to an ordinance and a permit, but there is none. So you'll get a building permit if you ask for a tree planting permit, and that really doesn't sit well. So we have drafted ordinance, and thanks to Kippy for doing most of this, ordinance and a tree planting permit. So we were lucky enough to get a budget increase from the city of Newburgh based on what we were accomplishing. So we started out in 2013 with $3,000, not even $3,000. I think by 2015 we're up to $3,000, and it ran around that same amount for many years. In 2021, we decided we're not going to sit here anymore, and we put in an ambitious budget request to the city of Newburgh, and our budget was increased to $27,000. And we are so grateful to the city council and the city manager and mayor for supporting that. And that just allowed us to take off. We were really ambitious in our undertakings in planting trees in the city. And we have an inventory, which was done by Davy Treekeeper. And that inventory is of 35,000 trees. There's city-owned trees in the city of Newburgh. It's hard to imagine that city has not been has had that many trees, but that's still 4,000 trees less than we had 25 years ago. So our first goal is to replace those 4,000 trees. It's wonderful to have that tree inventory that's updated regularly. We've also been able to hire a part-time arborist to work on our trees, and they are also responding to citizen comments about trees and whether it is important or not to take down XYZ trees, or we shouldn't do it because, as you know, The city tree is the responsibility of the city. And when somebody plants on the city tree lawn, those trees become the city's responsibility. So there needs to be a permit to plant those trees on a city tree lawn. We've got a lot of trees that were put in that we really would never approve. So we have an approved tree list based on small, medium, and large trees now that we're initiating. And we're hopefully that'll eliminate some of those problems of our being responsible for taking down or caring for trees that were improperly planted. So this great increase. Oh, let me just say, we're up to $85,000 in 2022. This is city money, and are approved, but not yet through final, I think, public input workshop. For this year, for 2023, is $94,000 from city money. Now, we've brought in a lot of money, over $100,000 2 years ago in grants. And this past year, the $40,000 grant from the DEC, and this has been really important. We've also worked with a couple of partners that have really been terrific with us. And that really made this great increase possible. It's the impact of our Environmental Justice Fellows program. And we're in partnership with the Greater Newburgh Parks Conservancy and Outdoor Promise. And I'm going to turn at this point over to Ronald because I haven't been keeping track of the minutes. And he's going to say a little bit about Outdoor Promise and the CAC and our Environmental Justice Fellows. Robert? Ronald?
Thank you, Chuck. Yeah, so the Environmental Justice Fellowship Program is a public-private partnership between, like Chuck mentioned, the Greater Newburgh Parks Conservancy, Outdoor Promise, and the CAC. Our focus is really community engagement and education on environmental justice issues, a lot of environmental justice issues in Newburgh. The program was originally funded by the Arbor Day Foundation, and we're grateful for the City Council for continuing the funding of the program in the second year, which just wrapped up, and hopefully the third year, as our budget gets approved, it's on there. I agree, engaging our youth is so important. The stipend that we provide over the 7 months helps them stay engaged about 10 hours a month on average. Sometimes they do more. We create opportunities for them to build their professional networks, share information and education on trees, the importance of trees, environmental justice issues that are going on in the city so they can spread the word. And they join other community events and table and share our flyers and posters and partners that are doing great things regarding environmental justice as well. Many of the alums of the program have stayed involved with different organizations after the program was over. So one of them even switched their major to environmental policy and is doing some research on the PFAS issue in Newburgh. So that's exciting. Another exciting development is that we just received a grant from the Hudson River Estuary Program to conduct an NRI. So looking forward to working with you, Ingrid. Right now we're creating an RFP to hire a consultant to help us develop that NRI. We have a draft ready. If anyone has worked with any consultants, please shoot us an email. I'll put my email on the chat. It would be great to get that out to as many people as we can. We hope to award that RFP in the first quarter and start our public meetings and stakeholder engagement in the second quarter. So we're excited about that. We are also excited that we've dusted off our Climate Smart certification checklist and created a committee over the summer and are in the process of implementing an official task force. And I want to thank Carla, Eleanor, and Mary and the HVRC team for all your support with all this. We recently became eligible for a $5,000 grant with the Clean Energy Program for taking our fourth action. Woohoo! Our codes director completed an energy code enforcement training. So we're excited about that. We also have some champion council members that are working on CCA and PACE financing as legislative priorities. So we're excited about the movement there. We're also excited that we will have a new website for the Newburgh Climate Ready Task Force. We have some Pratt Institute students that are working on creating a website to help with community engagement and public information and accountability. So I won't take up any more of your time, but it does take a village, and I want to thank everyone who's supported the CAC members that are on the call today, the volunteers, Marianne and Kippy, I saw you there. So thank you all for your time, and glad to see the excitement in the room and what everyone else is doing. So thank you for scheduling this.
Thank you so much, Chuck and Ronald. That's a wonderful update. Kate, I think you're muted. And we're very excited about the NRI project getting started, but so much stuff going on. I'm really amazed.
Yes,
Thank
I'm
you.
muted. Thank you. I wanted to say thank you. It's great to see new faces, is what I was saying, all the young folks coming out and carrying on the torch. So thank you, Ronald. Dennis from Monroe. There's been a lot of active chat, and Dennis was going to clarify some of Monroe's current tree code discussions. If you're still with us, Dennis, I'm not sure if you jumped off. So I would like to say, while we're waiting, that there has been a lot of great chat discussions and a lot of promises to share. And, you know, Ronald just asked for help. So if anyone's able to share, able to help, able to provide references, links, please send it to me and I'll make sure everyone receives the information. Yeah, if anyone has any other suggestions or needs, please let me know. I don't think Dennis is still here, so that will be.
Dennis is here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. There you go. You must be under F. Hello, Dennis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Am I on video? So that
You are on video and sound.
Okay.
Did you want to
thank you.
clarify what's going on with the Monroe Tree Code?
Certainly. Before I say that, I just want to say I'm somewhat overwhelmed by the work that you've all been doing and the different communities are doing with their different community associations. Monroe Conservation Commission, I guess this year is in a state of flux. So by the year's end, we'll have 4 new members. We have 6 in total. Myself included, only been on here for a few months. So we've a lot to learn and a lot to do. The town planner did make some significant draft revisions to our tree code. This took place about 3 months ago. We on the Conservation Commission was asked to look at this. We have limited knowledge of tree code requirements and arborist issues. We had one member who has now retired, who was basically a forester and was certainly a go-to guy for all things trees. He has now gone. So what we're in the process of doing now, and the board has said that we can do this, is to retain the services of a certified arborist to assist us both with reviewing and updating the tree code in conjunction with the town planner, and obviously finally with board approval. So we're looking forward to that process. And as briefly alluded to, I think in some of the messages, I guess it was one of the concerns was that our tree code was long and complicated and not that easy to follow. Consequently, it wasn't being followed very thoroughly for various projects. And I think the intent of the town planner, of the board, is to simplify it, make it easier to follow, not, as far as we're concerned, not necessarily to make it less arduous, not less stringent on preserving trees and climate related issues. So that's a process that we will be pursuing over the next weeks and months. And any assistance and advice on updating tree codes and what should be in there would be much appreciated. The other thing that we haven't got at the moment is a climate smart community resolution or anything. The board meeting this coming Monday, we'll be making a short presentation to the board to get them to agree to set up, I think the first process is to have a resolution to have a climate smart community. And then we would hopefully pursue that into the various stages ongoing. And there again, I'm impressed to hear what other communities are doing in that respect, and I'm sure we've got a lot to learn. I think that's all I need to say at the moment. It's getting late.
Great. Thank you, Dennis. We appreciate that clarification. So I think that concludes all of our speakers, unless someone else wants to say anything or have any questions. We are over time, and we thank you all for staying so late with us. Not too many people jumped off. Very impressed. Again,
Hey, I want to thank you and all the volunteers. And there's some really exciting work going on throughout the county. You should all be very proud, and it's very impressive.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Great work, right? So having said that, the poll says you guys want to meet again. Be careful. You will be seeing my email in your box, and we will be meeting again and inviting you. If I don't have your email address, please send it to me. Dennis, case in point, you have all new members. No one alerts me when there's new members. So please let me know, and we'll get you a bunch of goodies.
Okay, we'll do.
All right. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night, Ingrid. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Eleanor. Good luck. Simon, good luck. I hope you have electricity or at least heat.
I have heat.
Thank you. Thank
But
you,
you know,
Kate.
but
Thank
you know what, Simon? I think
Yeah.
you'd rather be in your boat than Eleanor's, because I think she's going to be waking up tonight a few times, maybe.
I'll accept that. Thank
I
you.
don't disagree.
Good luck with that double ear infection, Eleanor.
Thank
Good times.
you.
Good
Have a good
times.
evening.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
All right. Take
Good night,
care,
Nick.
all.
Good night. Thank you all.
Good night. Thank you. Ingrid, did you need to say anything since it's just us?
No, that was fantastic. It was really great to hear all those updates, and so we'll be in touch. I was just copying the chat to have a record of
Yes.
all of that.
Yeah, it's a mess. I
Yeah.
copied it too. I hope the one that is memorialized on Zoom is a little neater.
Yeah, and nice to meet you virtually, Alan. I'll follow up with
Oh,
you
same here,
soon.
Ingrid.
It's great
Yeah,
to
yeah.
hear the update about the county plan, and it's very exciting.
I
Yeah,
could tell she was very interested. You could tell your eyes changed. You were looking, you were really paying attention. So I knew
There's a
you were
lot
the most
going on,
interested.
and so Kate and I actually had a chance for the first time, kind of post-COVID, to actually get out in the field and spend a few hours to review some things. So yeah, we have some exciting work ahead, and yeah, I definitely will reach back out and look forward to continuing the conversation.
thanks. Well, have a good evening.
Oh, you
Thank you
too.
so much.
All right, take care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good night.
Kate, good work. I'll say good night one last time.
Thank you. Go to sleep earlier tonight. Right? Last night you were up a little late.
1 o'clock, yeah, so
Yeah.
I probably look tired, but that's why.
No. So just make sure you get to sleep earlier.
I will.
Great.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate your help.
You're quite welcome, Kate. Great
Take
job.
care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Joanna, you good? Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Sorry, I was actually reading some material on one of the CACs and I got to
I
look
know.
out. You have a good night. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Take care. Bye. Yep. That. It's so funny, right? Incredible.
What?